Good evening, everyone. For the next few minutes, set aside everything you think you know about the life sitting right in front of you. Imagine that reality is far larger than the narrow path your senses allow you to see. A vast landscape filled with outcomes, identities, and experiences you have not yet stepped into. Perhaps the future you long for is not merely a distant dream waiting to be built from nothing. Perhaps it exists first as a quiet possibility, waiting for your attention, your choices, and your inner vision to give it form. Across history, wise traditions have spoken about the creative power of inner awareness. Today, ideas borrowed from modern physics often raise the very same question. Could reality carry far more possibilities than the one we are experiencing right now? Seen this way, imagination becomes more than a pleasant escape. It becomes the inner workshop where a different version of life can first be built before it shows up in the way you think, feel, choose, and act. But if new possibilities are always available, then an important question remains. Why do we keep experiencing the same reality again and again? The answer may begin with the state of awareness you are occupying in this very moment. Look honestly at your life right now. I mean, really look. You are currently living inside a particular state of mind. But hear me, it is not the only state open to you right now. Countless other versions of reality are waiting for you to claim them into being. Stay with me here, because this next part will quietly change everything you thought you understood about your own life. And yet so many of us remain locked inside the same recurring loop of old belief, replaying identical patterns, generating identical results, feeling identical frustrations, wondering why nothing ever shifts, even as we ache for something more. Let me tell you something that will set you free. You are not stuck because of fate or destiny or forces beyond your reach. I know this firsthand, my friend. I have walked through that valley myself, completely convinced I was at the mercy of outside powers. But here is the truth that might catch you off guard, something most people never come to see. You are stuck because your whole inner system is still tuned to old assumptions about who you are and what is possible for you. The field of life does not respond to your wishes. It only responds to your assumptions. An assumption, even a false one, if held long enough, hardens into fact. This is not mere philosophy. It is the fundamental law that quietly governs your entire experience of reality. Everything you've ever lived through began as an assumption held quietly in consciousness, and the creative principle within you brought it into form simply because you believed it to be true. I remember when this idea first landed for me. I was young, working long hours in my family's small business in a quiet coastal town, dreaming of something far bigger, but with no clear path between where I stood and where I longed to be. I would watch well-off travelers pass through and quietly assume they belonged to a completely different world than mine. But eventually I came to understand that inner awareness is the only true reality. And by shifting my assumptions about myself, I could genuinely shift my world. Don't skip this next part, because it is the real secret no one tells you clearly enough. I used to think, and maybe you have too, that wanting something badly enough would be enough to bring it about. I would lie awake at night aching for a different life, one of freedom, of possibility, of gentle ease. But let me share the truth that changed everything for me. Desire alone accomplishes nothing in the realm of creation. Nothing comes from outside. Everything arises from within, from the deeper layers of your mind. The creative power does not answer your wanting, it answers your assuming. Sit with this for a real moment. You can want money while assuming poverty. You can long for love while assuming you are unworthy of it. You can dream of success while assuming failure. Which of those assumptions do you think the creative principle will honor? Always the dominant one. The one you feel most naturally, most consistently, without effort. This is why you can do everything right on the surface, repeating affirmations, building vision boards, running through visualizations, and still feel stuck in the same limited life. Because underneath your conscious effort, your deeper assumptions are broadcasting the old story on a louder channel. It is like trying to grow a garden in soil still soaked with the chemicals of your older beliefs. I once had a student desperate for financial freedom. She spent hours each day visualizing abundance. But every time she opened her wallet, paid a small bill, or checked her balance, she would quietly tighten with fear. She was trying to plant seeds of abundance in soil drenched with assumptions of lack. The deeper power could not honor her conscious wishes because her deeper assumptions were simply louder. Watch this carefully, because the next idea is where everything begins to make sense and click together. Now here is where modern quantum physics quietly confirms what wise teachers have been saying for centuries, and it will astonish you. Every possibility that has ever existed or could exist is already vibrating within the field of life, all at once. You are not creating something out of nothing. You are selecting which already existing reality to step into. Physicists sometimes call this superposition. Every possibility present at the same time until observation collapses one specific outcome into form. But here is the deeper truth most people overlook. You are not observing reality only with your physical eyes. You are observing and thereby collapsing reality through your assumptions, your quiet expectations, and your dominant feeling states. The field is responsive, not reactive. It reflects back to you not what you want, but what you quietly assume to be true about yourself and your world. Our deepest mistake is believing there are causes outside our own quiet state of mind. We look at our circumstances and assume they are the source of our limitations. But circumstances are never causes. They are effects. They are yesterday's assumptions hardened and crystallized into what we mistakenly call reality. A great pioneer of energy understood this when he spoke of energy, frequency, and vibration as the secrets of the universe. He was not being poetic. He was describing the literal mechanics by which inner awareness creates the outer world. Your assumptions generate a specific frequency, and that frequency quietly decides which possibility collapses into your lived experience. I remember years ago studying the work of certain pioneers and inventors. I was fascinated by how they could see entire machines fully formed in their minds before they existed in the physical world. They would build them in imagination, run them, test them, refine them, all before touching a single piece of metal. They knew that imagination was the true workshop of creation, that everything in existence first existed as a clear inner picture. Don't miss what I am about to say, because hidden inside it is the precise technique you have been searching for. But most people try to create from the small slice of mind that is awake and aware, while the vast majority of their deeper programming still carries old assumptions of limitation, fear, and lack. And the field of life always answers the loudest signal. It is like trying to tune into a beautiful piece of music while most of your receivers are still locked onto static. Modern neuroscience quietly confirms this. The majority of our daily behavior runs on subconscious programming, stored patterns, beliefs, and emotional conditioning, all operating automatically beneath conscious awareness. Pair that with the observer effect in quantum mechanics, and something remarkable emerges. Most of the time, it is not your conscious intention collapsing reality. It is your deeper assumptions quietly doing the work. This is why people can change jobs, change relationships, even change cities, and still find themselves reliving the exact same emotional patterns and outcomes. Nothing outside can override an inner assumption that stays unchanged. I have watched this happen again and again. People move across the country hoping to escape their troubles, only to recreate the same troubles in their brand new surroundings. So when someone tells me creation techniques do not work, what they are really saying is this: I have not yet changed the inner observer quietly collapsing my reality. They are trying to transform their world from the wrong level of mind. Your deeper mind, that quiet reservoir of assumption, functions like a powerful broadcast tower, endlessly sending out a signal. And the universe, perfectly responsive, tunes into that signal and produces circumstances to match its frequency. If your inner signal broadcasts fear, you will attract fearful circumstances. If it broadcasts lack, you will live scarcity. If it broadcasts unworthiness, you will find yourself in situations that confirm that unworthiness again and again. I once worked with a man desperate to find love. He dated, joined clubs, attended every social event imaginable, and somehow always ended up alone. When we gently looked into his deeper assumptions, we found that buried beneath everything, he believed himself unlovable. As a child, a parent had planted that quiet seed, and it had grown like a small weed in his mind. Every time he met someone new, his deeper self would broadcast that low frequency, and potential partners would unconsciously sense it and slowly pull away. He was not consciously sabotaging his relationships. His deeper assumption was quietly doing it for him. Here is something most teachers completely miss. Your nervous system does not just receive information, it quietly broadcasts it. Every cell in your body carries and transmits the frequency of your assumptions. When your system is wired for survival, scarcity, and fear, it signals threat to the field, even while your mouth is declaring abundance and success out loud. This is why simple affirmations often fail. There is an energetic contradiction between what you are saying and what you are quietly assuming. At the cellular level, the field responds to the authentic signal, not the performed one. It is like trying to broadcast a soft love song while your whole being vibrates with quiet fear. Pause and really take this in. The next idea is the technique that quietly changes everything for you. You reshape your future most powerfully when your thoughts are directed in a state close to sleep. When effort drops to its bare minimum, in that drowsy, half-waking state, your conscious mind's resistance begins to dissolve, and it becomes far easier to slip into the feeling of your wish already quietly fulfilled. I discovered this through personal trial back in my earlier years. In my early study of these laws, I struggled to hold positive thoughts during my busy waking hours. My conscious mind kept interrupting with doubt, fear, logical objections, and small worries. But in that gentle twilight state between sleep and waking, I found I could slip effortlessly into the assumption of my fulfilled desire. It was there that I first successfully used imagination to quietly reshape my circumstances. I was working as an ordinary clerk in a small, quiet office, barely scraping by. when I decided to assume the feeling of being a successful public speaker. Each night, as I drifted towards sleep, I would picture myself standing before warm audiences, sharing these truths, feeling the deep satisfaction of helping others transform their lives. The transformation you are looking for is not about fighting your present reality. It is about quietly withdrawing your attention from it and investing that same attention in the reality you would rather experience. Here is the most important idea I can offer you. Resisting what currently is only makes it more solidly real in your daily experience. When I speak of assuming the feeling of the wish fulfilled, I mean something quite precise. You must feel yourself to be the person for whom your desire is already an established fact. Not someone hoping for it, not someone striving toward it, but someone for whom it is simply true right now. This is what I call living from the end, inhabiting the awareness of your fulfilled desire so completely that it begins to feel like your natural home. If financial freedom is your desire, then you must assume the steady feeling of being financially free. How does a financially free person gently move through the world? How do they breathe? How do they make small daily decisions? How do they quietly relate to money? Inhabit that inner awareness so fully that it becomes your default setting. But here is where most people quietly trip up. You cannot assume this state once in a while and expect steady results. To be effective, your assumption cannot be a single, isolated act. It must be a gently sustained attitude of the wish fulfilled. Most people approach creation like tourists visiting a foreign country. They drop in briefly, take a few pictures, then return to the familiar territory of limitation. I remember a woman who attended one of my public gatherings. She was buried in debt, desperate for financial abundance. She would come to my talks, feel deeply inspired, go home and practice for a few days, then slowly slide back into her old quiet habits of worry and scarcity thinking. One evening after a gathering, she came up to me and said, "I have been practicing your techniques for months and nothing has changed. What am I doing wrong?" I asked her to walk me through her daily practice. She described scattered effort, brief bursts of inspiration, followed by long days of quiet doubt. I told her, "My dear, you are visiting the state of abundance, the way a tourist visits a city. You check in briefly, then check out and return to your familiar hotel of limitation. The field does not respond to occasional short visits to your desired state. It reorganizes itself around whatever state you inhabit most consistently. This is why scattered visualization sessions produce scattered results, while gently sustained assumption produces inevitable results over time. You must take up permanent residence in the state of your fulfilled desire. That does not mean forcing yourself to feel good every single second. It means slowly building the capacity to return again and again to your assumed state, regardless of what is happening outside. When old patterns resurface, and they will, you do not fight them. You simply return to your assumption with the quiet persistence of a small river finding its way to the sea. Every time you notice yourself slipping back into an older assumption and gently redirect your attention toward the newer one, you are literally rewiring your inner signature. Fresh neural pathways begin quietly forming in your brain. Your body begins broadcasting a new frequency. You are teaching the field a new pattern to reflect back to you in the days ahead. This is the real work of inner mastery, not some dramatic overnight transformation, but the patient, repeated return to your chosen state of being. Let me offer you a simple, practical framework for this quiet, sacred practice. Before your feet touch the floor each morning, before you check your phone, before you engage with the outer world's version of reality, take one full breath and feel yourself as the person you have quietly decided to become. What frequency are you carrying into this new day? Assumptions of lack or assumptions of quiet abundance, quiet struggle or gentle ease? For many years now, I have made it my daily practice to ask myself upon waking, who am I choosing to be today? Not what will I do, not what do I quietly hope happens. Who am I choosing to be? Because who you are in awareness quietly decides what you experience in the outer world. Throughout the day, gently practice what I call embodied response. Notice when your actions, your words, your small choices quietly align with your assumed identity and when they quietly contradict it. If you have assumed abundance, are you acting generously or quietly fearful? If you have assumed love, is your heart open or gently armored? I once knew a man who had quietly assumed the identity of a successful businessman. But every time a fresh opportunity to invest or take a small calculated risk arose, he retreated into fear-based thinking. He had stated a belief in abundance, but his actions revealed his true assumptions, that resources were scarce, opportunities were rare, and he could not quietly trust his own judgment. His outer circumstances stayed limited, not because the universe was withholding success from him, but because his small daily actions constantly contradicted his stated desires. He was like a person insisting he believed in his destination while quietly walking in the opposite direction. Each night before sleep, gently review your day, not hunting for mistakes, but quietly checking for soft alignment. Where did you successfully hold your assumption? Where did you softly slip back into older patterns? Use this quiet awareness for gentle course correction, not harsh judgment. Conscious creation is not about quiet perfection, it is about steady persistence. Remember this simple truth. A quiet change of feeling is a change of destiny. Every moment you sustain the gentle feeling of your wish fulfilled, you are literally collapsing fresh possibilities into your real experience. This is not abstract theory. It is the most practical instruction I can offer you right now. Dare to quietly believe in the reality of your assumption and watch the outer world play its part in its quiet fulfillment. The world has no other choice but to conform to a softly persistent assumption. Persistence does not mean force. It means a natural, effortless return to your chosen state. Like a small river always quietly finding its way to the sea, your awareness should flow naturally toward the gentle assumption of your fulfilled desire. When old doubt gently rises, and it will, do not wrestle with it. Simply return to your quiet assumption. When older patterns softly surface, gently guide yourself back to your new chosen identity. Let me share a quiet story that beautifully illustrates this. Years ago, I met a young woman whose health professionals had quietly told her she could not have children. She had been married for several years and had quietly endured many failed attempts. When she came to my gatherings, she was bitter, defeated, convinced motherhood was simply impossible for her. I gently taught her to assume the quiet feeling of being a mother, not hoping to become one, not striving toward it, but feeling herself to already be one. Each night she would quietly fall asleep, imagining herself holding her baby, feeling its soft weight in her arms, hearing its gentle breathing. For many months, nothing shifted outwardly. The professionals still quietly insisted conception was impossible. Her partner began slowly losing hope, but she held her assumption, returning to that quiet feeling again and again. The gap between assumption and manifestation quietly exists to gently test the quiet strength of your conviction. Will you hold your assumption despite contrary evidence? Will you keep feeling the reality of your wish quietly fulfilled, even while the outer world has not yet caught up? This quiet woman did exactly that. She held her assumption with the steady tenacity of someone who knew that inner awareness is the only quiet reality. And eventually, against every quiet prediction, she quietly conceived. Today she has gentle children, all born after practitioners had quietly declared it impossible. When outer circumstances seem to quietly contradict your assumption, remember they are simply reflecting your previous assumptions, not your soft current ones. There is always a quiet bridge of small incidents quietly connecting assumption to manifestation. You do not need to figure out how it will happen. You only need to gently maintain the assumption that it is quietly happening. This quietly brings us to one of the most quietly important concepts I can gently offer. Living from the soft end. When you live from the soft end, you are not quietly working toward a goal. You are quietly operating from the quiet established fact of its gentle fulfillment. You quietly make small decisions, softly speak, and gently act from the quiet awareness of someone for whom the desire is already softly real. This gently creates what physicists sometimes call retroactive causation, the quietly assumed future state gently influencing the present moment, quietly drawing to you the experiences and small circumstances softly aligned with your assumed identity. It is as though your quietly assumed future self gently reaches back through soft time, quietly guiding your present self toward the gentle, quiet inevitability of your assumption. Here is something that will quietly reshape your quiet, entire understanding. You are not quietly trying to get somewhere. You are quietly recognizing you are quietly already there. The quietly assumed version of you, quietly living your desired life, already quietly exists within the gentle field of life. Your gentle task is to quietly assume its identity so softly completely that you softly become it. I quietly learned this through my own quiet journey across the open water. While still in my small quiet hometown, I began quietly assuming the quiet feeling of being in the big quiet city. I had no quietly clear idea how I would get there. No quiet money for passage, no quiet connections, no quiet opportunities. But I quietly felt myself there so completely that it became more real to me than my quiet actual surroundings. Every quiet night, I would softly fall asleep, quietly imagining myself quietly walking those wide, quiet streets, feeling the quiet city's gentle energy, quietly seeing myself softly woven into that quiet, vibrant, creative community. I lived so softly, fully in that quiet assumption that when the gentle chance to quietly travel finally came, it quietly felt like quiet, natural, soft inevitability rather than quiet, sheer luck. This is the quiet power of quiet assumption. It does not merely attract small circumstances, it quietly creates them. When you quietly assume something as quietly true, with enough quiet conviction and quiet persistence, the quiet whole universe gently conspires to softly make it so. Small quiet doors quietly open. Gentle quiet people quietly appear. Quiet small opportunities quietly arise. All in quiet, perfect quiet timing to quietly support your quiet assumptions, quiet, gentle fulfillment. But most people simply give up far too quietly soon. They quietly assume for a quiet while, quietly see no immediate quiet change, and quietly return to quiet, older, quiet patterns. They gently do not quietly grasp that the quiet small gap between quiet assumption and quiet manifestation is not quiet punishment. It is quiet, gentle preparation. The outer quiet field is quietly reorganizing itself quietly around your quiet, new, gentle assumption. And quiet reorganization quietly takes quiet, gentle time. In the next 24 quiet hours, I quietly want you to quietly do one small thing that gently belongs entirely to the quiet, gentle version of you, quietly living your quietly desired, quiet reality. Not a quiet, half-hearted, soft gesture, not a quiet, tentative, quiet step, a quiet, full, quiet assumption of that quiet, gentle identity through one quiet, specific, quiet action, one quiet, small, quiet choice, or one quiet, gentle, internal, quiet shift. It does not quietly need to be quiet, dramatic. It only quietly needs to be quiet, genuinely quiet you. When you quietly do this, you will quietly feel something quiet, significant, quietly stir quietly inside you. You will quietly sense the quiet field quietly responding to your quiet, new, gentle signal. You will quietly experience what I quietly call the gentle, quiet thrill of the quietly answered quiet prayer. The quiet moment you quietly feel the gentle, creative, quietly principle, quietly stirring, quietly in response to your quiet, gentle assumption. Let me quietly share a quiet, final, gentle story. A quiet man quietly came to one of my gentle public gatherings. He was quietly unemployed, quietly searching for quiet, new work for many quiet months, with quiet, no quiet, soft success. After quietly listening to me, quietly speak about quiet assumption, he quietly decided to quietly assume the quiet, gentle feeling of being quietly employed in his quiet, ideal, quiet role. The quiet next quiet morning, instead of his quiet, usual, quiet, casual, quiet searching clothes, he quietly dressed as though he were quietly already working in the gently position he quietly desired. He quietly put on his quiet best quiet suit, quietly tied his quiet small tie carefully, and quietly looked at himself in the quiet mirror, not as a quiet unemployed man quietly hoping for quiet gentle work, but as a quiet successful professional quietly getting ready for another quiet gentle day at his quiet fulfilling quiet job.